we're moving into, of course, back to school.
Mm-hmm.
At my son's school, there was some kind of crazy outbreak and a bunch of kids got sick in one classroom. And like the whole district heard about it. It's terrible, right? But you know how it is with back to school.
Yep.
People get sick, kids are run down. Some are going back earlier because and it's hot. You know, you got air conditioning, all that stuff. So parents like myself who want to keep our kids healthy, you know, going back to school.
Yeah. So first thing is, you know, start beforehand. Think about the basics before back to school starts. You know, multivitamin, vitamin C, vitamin D. If a child is on those, then their foundation is automatically being built strong. And then when we go back to school and everything starts, you know, being passed around, that's the time when we look at the extra immune support. So we have extra vitamin C, extra vitamin D. If anything does look like something starting up, that's when we use the first defense or the echinacea for the extra immune support. And by doing that and using those things and giving the immune system the extra support, you know, then we can help reduce or prevent, you know, that.
So the key is to support the immune system.
Support the immune system to keep a child and prevent, you know, anything from affecting them.
And then if something happens, treatment is a little bit different, obviously,
Exactly.
from your experience as a pediatrician.
Yeah.
And with that being said, when it is back to school time, in the, you know, the same situation when, like, say, the weather changes, but what kind of sicknesses, illnesses, that kind of thing, or even conditions, whatever it is you want to term it as, that you see going back to school? Flu, anything like that even?
Yeah, well, obviously every year there's a cold and flu season that happens
Right.
religiously every year. And so that's where we look at, you know, what can we do to support the immune system? So the basics, vitamin C, vitamin D3, echinacea, first defense, even the colostrum and probiotics is great support for the immune system. And so if a child is exposed and their immune system is strong, then they're less likely to catch anything. Yeah? So it's all about maintenance, prevention, protection.
I think that's key, maintenance, prevention, protection, because treatment is always different. And I found myself to be that parent who I don't want to give cold medicine. I want, even for myself, I grew up with obviously non-traditional medicines. And so I'm used to seeing that. And that's why I think when I saw your products, I was very excited, even more so, because I grew up on Chinese herbal medicines that, you know, there are no English names for them. And, you know, they have to grind the root and it smells really bad, but works right away. So it's the same idea. You're not treating those conditions, but then you're trying to, of course, like you said, maintain.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the principle of holistic medicine is what can we do to help support growth, development, the immune system, so that we don't have to get into that territory of having to treat.
Kind of last question, just based on that. My experience as kind of a slightly older parent, but with a lot of friends who have older kids, they seem to be fine up until, say, the age of 12, give or take the years. And then all of a sudden they develop things. Sometimes they're random. Sometimes there is maybe an explanation for it. Even a gluten-free condition that develops like celiac for later on. But what you're proposing in terms of prevention and treatment and helping those building blocks be strong, can that help prevent some of the things that I'm seeing with parents, you know, in a later stage in terms of sicknesses or conditions?
Sure. I mean, I think it's all tied together. You know, if we look at childhood as the time where everything is formed, the foundation is laid. If everything is laid and created well, then that continues to support the child throughout their life. If things start to stress the immune system, stress the digestive system, stress them during their childhood, then usually it's just a matter of time before something else, you know, happens as a consequence of that. So it just comes back to the importance of childhood in every way. You know, if we just look at the way that a child's brain grows, right? You know, obviously when a baby's born, we all see that their head is much bigger in proportion to their body than we are as adults. And that's because most of the brain's growth occurs in the first 7 years of life. So 90% of the brain's physical growth occurs in the first 7 years. What is built in those first 7 years is what we have to work with for the rest of our life. It's not sort of like the computer is built, the size of the computer is built. During that time and after that time, you know, there'll be new pathways built depending on how we learn and exercise our brain things. But the actual hardware is constructed. That's it. That's what we have to work with for the rest of our life. And, we have to understand that the rest of the body is like that too, the immune system, the digestive system. So all of these things are being formed and created in those first 7 to 8 years, and that's what we have to work with for the rest of our life. So it just comes back at the same time, that's also when we actually have the greatest ability to give our children everything. They're not teenagers who think they know more than us. They're still young, so we can still help support them, advise them. They'll take our advice most of the time. So these are the opportune years to really give what's important, what's necessary to build that foundation.